This video is how to assemble the tension assembly on a Singer Featherweight. Also works on a whole bunch of different Singers that have the same kind of a tension assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and dismantle it first, and then I'll put it back together. So I'm going to turn the knob until it gets to till it stops, and then I'm going to push this black piece in, and while holding it, I'm going to keep turning, and this comes out. This is the front piece, and I'm just going to lay them down in order so you can see. Then I'm going to take the indicator, put it down. Then I'm going to put this piece here, very important that you see how it works. It's got a little pointer, points one direction. We're going to set her down. The beehive spring, then the cup that has the indicator, and it has a little slot in the middle. Set that down. Then we're going to pull this, I'm going to disconnect this little spring, and I'm going to very carefully wiggle it out. And the spring slides out like this. And then this piece, 3 more pieces, this piece here, and the 2 tension discs. Now, there's a hidden piece in here, which is if you aren't paying attention and you tilt the machine back, it's more than likely going to fall out. It didn't fall out on this one. But inside there is a pin. Yeah, there. Let's get it out. I'm going to use a magnetized screwdriver here. Just going to slide it in there. Now, sometimes they come out really easily. We'll try with 2 little screwdrivers. Come on. There we go. There's the pin. So, I don't recommend taking all this stuff out, but so let's reassemble the whole thing. So it's good to lay them in line if you don't know. So starting with the pin, there's the crimped piece on the end and then the smooth part. So we're going to hold the crimped end, and we're just going to set it right through the middle of this tension stud. You could push it in if you want, probably a good idea. When you lower the foot, see how that screwdriver is moving back and forth? That's how the machine releases the tension. So it's important that you have that in there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 tension discs, and they're both the same, but you want to put them together so that I don't know which one would be this would be the convex side, and this is the concave side. So to put the 2 convex sides together so that they look like that, don't put them together like this. That won't work. So put them together like that. Then take this piece and put them together like that. You can see the hole through the middle, just like that. Then take your check spring and you orient it in such a way that you slide this piece in here like that, and you line up the hole so that the spring has that hole going through it, and line them up together, and then take them, put them in there like that, very carefully, make sure that the spring doesn't go into that slot, and then it goes in there like that. And this is where you need to make sure that, whoops, that slipped around. Make sure that when this check spring goes inside, you see all these little fins there. The check spring has a little piece on the inside. It's part of the spring here. It's on the inside, and it's going to go into one of those spines. And it's important that you get it in there right. So when you push this together, there's a little hole in the casting here. You'll see that hole where this piece is going to go in there like that, if you see that right in here. So before you put it in there, and before that check spring goes in there, make sure that the check spring is hanging straight down, just like that, and then push it all the way in like that. And you can double check and make sure that that check spring is right there at the bottom. And, whoops, pardon my photography skills here. So when you bring this up like this, it goes on the other side of the check spring stop, and it clicks like that if you hold it in. So that's in there correctly, and we're just going to leave it there like that. Next thing you do in line is get your cup, and so the inside piece goes like this, and you can push on it with your finger. Make sure that this check spring does not bind up, and when you lift the presser foot, it comes out, and all this is loose. And then when you put your foot down, it gets tight. So we got that in. Next is the beehive spring. We're going to take the beehive spring, doesn't matter which way you do it. Just stick her in there with that slot right down the middle. Next piece is the stop washer. Now, you could put it in this way, this way, this way, or that way. There's only one correct way, and that's with this stop pointing up and pointing towards you. Don't put it in facing away from you. So put it in like this and just set her there like that. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab the indicator and the nut, and put your indicator in with the 1. I'll just say one of these numbers, like 1, 2, 3, something like that. And you're going to have to hold it. You're pushing against the beehive spring, so push it in and hold it with your fingers. And then very carefully, make sure you don't cross thread this. You can turn it backward and you can feel it kind of click into place. And I'm trying to look through my camera and do this at the same time. Not a good recipe here for success. I'm doing this through my phone lens. It's crazy. Got it crooked. So give me a second here to look at the tension assembly itself and not the other part. There we go. So pushing this in, you'll see there's a pin that's going through this thing. And this pin actually goes into the holes of that indicator. There are little holes going all the way around. See those little tiny holes in there? So this nut here, that is going to go into one of those holes like that. And you got to kind of wiggle it around, and it'll pop into one of those holes, just like that. Now, to set the tension correctly, you have to set it. So if you flip it with your finger, you can feel that there's tension. And then when you turn it to 0, there's still a little bit of tension. So what we want to do is have it when it will turn and stop. It doesn't stop exactly on 0, but close. So when it's on 0, there should be really very little tension at all, if any. But there's too much. So here is that little pin. So I'm going to push this in, and I'm going to loosen it a little bit until it goes into the next hole. And I'm going to push it to 0 again. Now that's good. You can see that this is wiggly. It's very loose. But when I turn this one number, it's actually snugged up. So loose is wiggly, like that. One number, though, it's starting to tighten up. And as we go up to, say, 5, there'll be plenty of tension. And this thing still works. So that is exactly, and you may have to adjust that slightly to get it just right, because these vary a little bit from machine to machine. Also, on these machines, your bobbin case tension is kind of the baseline, but those can vary also from machine to machine. So that is how you assemble the upper thread tension assembly on the Singer Featherweight and many other models.